What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fourth and Wrong. Here we are, Chris, end of the year. How have your holidays been so far thus far? Because we still got a big night tomorrow night. That, of course, is New Year's Eve, but really it's the quarterfinals continuing on in the CFP. Marler, twice in one day.
Things are good, dude. Things are good. We got a good show for you guys tonight. No, things are good. We had a good Christmas. We had. I'm excited for. That's right, Evan Grimes. Good to see you, dude. Good to see you too, Jeff Williams, on a yacht the other day. I think I saw, and I thought he sent me just a random picture of a skyline.
Nice.
So I just assumed it was mine. I was like, "Are you in New Orleans?" And he's like, "No."
On a yacht?
Was it a? I'm saying it's a yacht because I love Jeff Williams and I want him to succeed in all things.
Oh, okay.
It probably wasn't a yacht. He lives in Gray, Georgia. Not a big yacht community down in Gray. That's not an offense to you, Jeff, but just I think an accurate depiction of the yacht picture down in central Georgia. Anyway, it was a good Christmas. I've described what I got for Christmas very excitedly, and I can't do it in a way that I don't sound like a fucking 8-year-old because Allie got me a new work backpack and a new set of on cloud running shoes, which I will be walking in. How about you? Looks like Santa brought you a nice little blonde, huh?
Yeah, well, before Christmas, of course, yes, but
sounds like it was right on Christmas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my I guess I've got a girlfriend, so yeah, thanks for putting that out there.
You put it out there on Instagram.
Well, not everybody follows me on Instagram. I'm on private now.
Why are you on private?
I'm learning the ways, but anyways.
No, let's talk about this.
Her family's big fans of the show, so I want to shout out them. They watch it now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
One member of the family will go unnamed. Described it as the first 10 minutes they didn't talk about anything really, and his co-host has salty language.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll
tell you what we're going to talk about today.
A pretty accurate description of the podcast.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We'll open up today with the Somalian fraud story, and then we'll ease on into the Pop-Tart Bowl, just like we always do, covering the biggest stories in all the world. I don't love the fact that they're fans of the show. Like, I do, but I also know what that means, and it's not good. Anytime somebody says...
Are you talking about the Somalians or her parents?
We don't have any Somalian fans.
Oh, okay.
I made fucking sure of it, Tyler. I was at all them raids.
All right. Well, it's a big
week.
Me
Dave Raidsy. No, I didn't like that.
Like you Dave Ramsey?
Yeah, I should have said Raid Ramsey. That sounded cool. No, neither one of them's good. Raid Portnoy. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess.
It would have been better for Rave. Anyway, either way. We're going to talk about Somalian fraud at some point. But tonight, where do you want to start? Because there's big games on.
There are big games on. I think we should start with tomorrow night's game because I'm actually pretty excited about it. Big rematch of the 2003 Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
If you recall. Miami.
Where were you when that happened?
Where was I when that happened? So that game would have been, what, January of 2004?
2003.
January, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have been a sophomore in high school. Or no, junior in high school. So who knows what I would have been doing. If it was on New Year's, maybe that was the first night I drank, actually. Ever in my life. Junior in college, of course, because I was 21.
Cool. I was in the back of a 98 Cadillac DeVille puking my fucking guts out.
Ooh, because it was New Year's?
No, it was a 13-hour road trip. I had food poisoning. to go to the Perfect Game World Baseball Underclassmen Showcase. So it was just like I spent the entire off season like lifting weights and not ever swinging an actual baseball bat and doing the things that you have to be doing to get better at the sport.
Nice.
And then I would show up to this like World Junior Underclassmen Showcase with like, players that like several players that are in the bigs now or were in the bigs when we were younger, and then just get my fucking doors blown off with my dad's adult men's league baseball bat I had to borrow. It was a lot of fun, but I remember I got into the hotel and they just got into overtime, and I was so disoriented. And I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like you cannot make that call in that spot, and it was so sad to watch. I'm sure you were happy as a fan.
Absolutely. Yeah, 2003 double overtime loss for Miami, 31-24. That goes all the way back to the Ken Dorsey, Maurice Clarett days. I mean, talking a long time ago. This iteration, so these teams, I believe, have played 5 times, although the official records show 2-2 in the records. I believe one of the wins was vacated for Ohio State for the whole tattoo gate.
That's wild. Remember how big of a deal we thought that was?
Yeah, real dumb. A lot of people on Miami right now. They're a hot pick. The defense really rose to the occasion against Texas A&M. Obviously, they went into College Station and held A&M to 3 points. Only scored 10 themselves, but Ohio State obviously had been undefeated all season until their last game that they played, which was a loss in the Big Ten title game. So they're probably looking to get back out on the field and prove themselves a little bit more. But Miami seems to have a lot of momentum. Ever since they lost to SMU in the middle of the season, they seem to have gotten better. Every week, especially on defense. So what are you thinking? I mean, it's a 9.5 point spread, which is a lot. A lot of people are like auto taking Miami. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about how Ohio State, when they've played teams that have good trench play, offense and defense, you could point to the Texas game for Ohio State. You could point to the Indiana game. They didn't seem to perform as well on offense. So to me, I think the bet in this game lies on the under total 41.5.
Yeah.
But what do you see in this game?
I think it's the most lopsided spread there is. Like the 10 opening at 10.5. I like that number a lot more. I think Miami. I'm trying to look at this year, and I might be wrong doing it, but I look at some of the games this year, and all I can think of is, okay, how did we talk about this team at different points of the year and not just being a prisoner of the moment? I brought up with Alabama, and it was like, I think we talked about them a lot differently after the Oklahoma game and before the Georgia game. All of a sudden, that whole thing about Alabama, which is like, well, they played bad for a month. It's like, well, they lost to a playoff team that had 10 wins. And they had 3 turnovers and a missed field goal in that game. And then they went and beat their arch rival pretty much in the same exact way that mostly everyone beat that team this year, which was close and like around 7 points or less. I think I look at Miami and I think about how we talked about them in the middle of the season. And I know they have 2 bad losses, and them not winning their own conference, when it's that bad of a conference is concerning. I know all the stuff about Carson Beck, but I think where games are won and how good teams and elite teams are built, it's usually from the inside out with really good play in the trenches. And few teams are as good on the defensive line as Miami. Dude, Miami has, if I was making a stereotype-driven defensive line, it's Miami to a T. You got a fucking 3 black guys that are overweight, all with single-digit numbers. And don't shake your head at me, Eddie. And then you've got a fucking white dude wearing number 99. If that's not the most Miami defensive line, 3 single digits and a white dude wearing number 99, like, I guarantee you that if that was the same defensive line in 2025 as it was in 99, that white guy would have a barbed wire tattoo that he regretted for the rest of his life on his left bicep. Like, it's just vintage Miami football, I feel like. They're good, really good at getting after the quarterback. And you saw what that can do to this offense for Julian Sayin in the game against Indiana, where he was put under pressure and he just all of a sudden wasn't himself, and the output dropped. I think they're going to come into this game with a chip on their shoulder, knowing what they just lost. Like, I like Miami's chances better if Ohio State would have won that game. in the Big Ten championship, to be honest. But I do like the fact that they're a heavy underdog. Oh, what's up, Mike Toscano? I do like that they are an underdog. And kind of like I also just love the fact that Ohio State's just like talking a ton of shit at the pregame stuff. Like Jeremiah Smith is just get him away from the camera.
He seems to do that sometimes, and he doesn't always rise to the occasion afterwards. So that's interesting.
He's the best receiver in the country, hands down. You're like, we all agree with that. Most physically talented player at any position probably in the country. I think that's a fair point. Him saying that him and Carnell Tate are better than Justin Jefferson and what's his name? And Jamar Chase was a fucking joke. And then just from a production standpoint alone. But yeah, I think you're right. There has been times where he's disappeared and he hasn't been healthy this year. But I think that this Miami team is going to play them more physically than anyone else they've played so far.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that Texas game to start the year was obviously a physical game, but it was at home. And, they struggled in that game. And Texas turned out to be kind of up and down throughout the season. But I don't know. I just think that there's a little too much being put into Miami right now. Texas A&M's defense isn't like the whole year wasn't really great. I mean, in some games was outright bad. And Miami really struggled to move the ball on them. Scored 10 points. Ohio State's defense is, by all accounts, the tops in the nation. Whether you're looking at yards per play or you're looking at advanced metrics, I mean, they've been unbelievable. Matt Patricia's done a great job there. And so I think that's why I like the unders, because I think both defenses will rule the day here. I do think Ohio State. I think I'm going to take Ohio State minus 9.5. Actually, I just think there's been too much put into Miami on the offensive side of the ball. They did not look great in that Texas A&M game. Like against a defense that's not near what Ohio State is. I get it. I get that the defense has looked good, but I also don't think that they've faced an offense at the level of Ohio State. So I mean, I just think that everyone's saying close game, yet the Vegas line stays at 9.5, almost double digits. Vegas always knows something.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's the team total for Ohio State?
That I don't know.
Plus,
I mean, the
teams get conservative in games like this. I don't know. I think I like Ohio State here, minus 9.5. I think Ohio State will kind of pull away towards the end of the game. It'll be close. I don't think Miami scores over. I'd love to know the two team totals, really.
I'm looking it up right now. Okay, so it says 41.5 is the total.
Yeah.
Okay, so that Vanderbilt line is very juicy, by the way. 9.5 it's down to 40.5, which is I think shocking considering how good the offenses can be. You're right about Matt Patricia. He has done a really good job with this. From a game props, team props, pulling it up. Sorry, this is good radio. Team props. 14.5 points total for Miami, 24.5 for Ohio State. Somebody has to know something, because I'm being sucked into what I think is the obvious.
I think I'm going to go over team total Ohio State. Over 24.5.
I'm kind of
the best bet of the game. And then because I just think that they're going to get some short fields. I don't know that I trust Carson Beck against the defense of this caliber. You can see a couple turnovers. And Ohio State taking advantage. So I'm going kind of against the grain. I'll take Ohio State minus 9.5 over the team total 24.5. But I do still like the under, which I'm starting to like plus at 40.5.
I'm looking at this right now. The public money percentage of bets is 60% on Miami. The sharp actions on Ohio State, the big money's on Ohio State. The percentage of bets is 60% on Miami, but 56% of the money is on Ohio State. So that does kind of speak to what you're talking about with how
The big money's the amount of bets you're saying is more on Miami, but the larger bets are on Ohio State.
yeah. So I kind of like what you're saying there. It feels like Vegas tends to know something. And again, I go back to the fact that like what you said about, I think they're going to be working with some short fields. It's not hard to read between the lines of what that means. It is Carson Beck in some of his biggest moments as a quarterback in college has failed and fallen on his face. And we didn't really see it in 2023, but we saw it a lot in 2024. Maybe that's because there's more tape on him and just more tendencies. We saw it a couple times this year, the SMU game. And that A&M team, it was not a great defense. And they made Miami look like they were inept at times on offense. There was just a lot of things that happened in that game that I don't think it should have been that close. And Miami did things to make it that close. Whether you want to blame all the missed field goals on the wind or whatever, I think that we saw last year with Ohio State coming off that disappointing loss to Michigan, which is a different scenario, and they're at home against a Tennessee team that's probably not as good as Miami. But like, I don't think Miami's offense has enough to beat Ohio State. Like Miami's path to winning has to be, we have to make sure that they don't score more than 20 points, because I don't know how Miami's going to be able to do that.
Yeah. So what's your official pick?
I'll take Ohio State 28, Miami 14. I'll side with you. I'll side with you.
All right, cool. All right, let's get to Oregon and Texas Tech. Ooh. This game, it's tough to know what Texas Tech is to me. I mean, you look at all their statistics, they're top 10 offense and defense in a lot of categories. Oregon seems to have the better roster overall. Obviously, Texas Tech went real hard in the portal on some elite guys, but I don't know that they have the roster depth that Oregon does. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this game?
Dude, I think that we've seen Oregon exposed at times. I'm really big on this. I keep talking about it, is like knowing who you are going into the postseason and having an idea of what your identity is. Wait, what is that? What are you drinking?
Shiner Holiday beer.
How fucking good is that beer, dude?
It is pretty good.
We had it in our local Rouse's here, and then it's just gone now. We sold out of it. It's so good.
I like it.
So I think that this, like, knowing who you are from an identity standpoint is really big. And I think that Texas Tech knows who they are. I don't know if the rest of the country does. I think that Texas Tech does. And Texas Tech is good. Like they may not have a quarterback that's as sexy as fucking Fernando Mendoza or Julian Sayin or Dante Moore, Trinidad Shambles. I think that people look at this team and they're just like, oh, it's like the new money, versus old money type mentality where like everyone's at like a fucking sit down dinner that's a black tie affair, and they walk in with cowboy boots, not like, no pun intended, and like everyone's like, well, who the hell is this? I think that Texas Tech is built at the most important positions better than a lot of teams. And if you haven't been able to see this defense play yet, it's fucking awesome. And every time that Vegas has tried to tell us something about this team, where it's like, well, they're a double-digit favorite against BYU, but everyone's talking about how BYU is a top 10 team, and they beat them by 19. And then you go right back into the same shit in the second time they played, which was in the what do you call it? The Big 12 championship, and they beat them fucking 34-7. Like held them to 7 points both times. That's a pretty good BYU offense, and they made them look silly. It was never even a game. So I think that the home field advantage they're going to have is a lot more than Oregon, because Oregon's in this really shitty circumstance that you see a lot in the playoff now, which is you got a home game, which is great. You get to go. That's a really cool experience. Now you got to fly all the way across the fucking country to go to this second round game. And then, dude, if they win, do you know where they play next? Atlanta.
Nice.
They got to go right back. And then if they win that, they got to go back to Miami again. So, like, I think the odds are stacked against this little cluster here in the playoff in general. I think they're really stacked against Oregon. I think that Texas Tech, with the extra bye and the chance to watch a pretty disappointing defensive performance from Oregon, I like Texas Tech to win outright.
Ooh. Okay. I do like this. I mean, obviously, current line 2.5 for Oregon, total 51.5. I do like the over probably is the best bet. I think both offenses are going to score in this game. I know that obviously if you look at the defensive metrics for both these teams, really, but I mean, especially Texas Tech, they're really unbelievable. But I just don't know that they've really faced the caliber of offenses that would make this. It's kind of weird. The Big 12 was not like the best. You're used to having this huge offensive league. It wasn't necessarily that way this year.
Yeah.
And so I just don't know that Texas Tech has faced a ton of the upper end offenses. So I think both defenses will be tested because I do love Texas Tech's offense as well. I mean, it's hard for me to go against Oregon, but
Why is that?
Just because of the depth of talent more so than I think both have high end talent, but when it's a 2.5, so under field goal game, you
Right.
expect it to come down to the fourth quarter. I would expect that Oregon could outlast Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech's blown out so many teams this year. I don't know that they've had many fights down to the wire.
True.
So
That they
I do
won.
expect it to be close. I will take Oregon. I'll take Oregon 28-24. Does that put me at the over? Barely. If it's at 51.5, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take Oregon in the over, but it's gonna be close. I think this is gonna be one of the more interesting games to watch, honestly, because I just really don't know what to expect in this game. I feel like I got a handle more on the other games. This game,
Yeah.
I think just because I haven't seen too much of Texas Tech this year. But I'm excited to watch this one for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I think it'll be a good game. I hate that it's at 11 a.m. Local time, but I do think it'll be. I mean, I think it's the most evenly matched game, not just because the line says so, but just in general. And I think of the 8 teams remaining, probably because I've watched Ole Miss a bunch this year, and I've obviously watched Georgia and Bama. We've seen Ohio State. I think these two are the ones we feel like we know the least about, and part of that's because they both
And
have
the
great
other thing
records.
about
Go ahead.
I was gonna say too with Oregon, they were injured through the regular season. They were injured pretty badly, like across the
Yeah.
team, which played into kind of them just having a lackluster end of the season. But let's not forget, even in the first game, I know they didn't play anybody special, but and at the end of the game, JMU ended up coming back a little bit. But I mean, they blew them off the field so fast that they were playing third stringers by the fourth quarter. So I mean, um, Oregon looked really good, but now that they're starting to round into form with health, so I like that part of it. Another part that I like more so for the over is that if you look at the numbers, it's kind of crazy thing about Oregon, a little surprising with Lanning too. They're what are they like? What is the red zone on defense? They're 121st in the country in like allowing scores in the red zone on defense. So if Texas Tech can move the ball on them, you'd expect them to score a bunch of points if they get into the red zone. So another reason why I like the over.
That's fair. Yeah, they definitely weren't great at that last week and trying to fucking cover the spread. So
Yeah, no shit.
that was unbelievable.
You want to do Ole Miss, Georgia?
Yeah, I want to close the Rose Bowl for sure.
Okay, all right. Sugar Bowl. This is New Year's Day. Well, New Year's Day night. This is the night game in New Orleans. Spread is Georgia -6.5. Total is 55.5, 56.5, depending on where you look.
Yeah.
Obviously, these two teams played earlier in the year. Georgia won that game. Ole Miss does not have Lane Kiffin. I think we all know that at this point. So could be a little bit different looking game. They do still have obviously the offensive staff that was under Kiffin in that first game. And the offense looked pretty good in the first game. Obviously, they played Tulane, which we'd already seen how that went earlier in the season as well.
Right.
I think a lot of people are just kind of assuming Georgia wins this game. Do you see it differently?
I wonder because it does feel like they're getting patted on the back a lot. This was a really close game earlier in the year where it's like Ole Miss became the first team ever against Kirby Smart to score in their first 5 straight drives. And it's kind of speaks to how games can be won and lost now in this current age of football, where you have like the different stuff with the clock and the changes that have been made there because they scored on their first 5 possessions and then they went 3 and out on their last 2. And lo and behold, they lose by 8. And it's like, that was a historic performance offensively for Ole Miss to start that game, led for most of it. And then, I don't know. Like it's like, it feels like they had, this game was a lot closer than people remember the first time. I keep maintaining too that they're 1 quarter away from being a 12-0 football team for Ole Miss and going to Atlanta. I don't know how big of a difference it is with and without Kiffin. I would assume it's probably a pretty big difference, but it didn't look like that much of a big difference in the first game against Tulane. I thought they came out exactly how they thought they would, with the chip on their shoulder. They didn't really play with their food out of the gate, and they won convincingly. Now, this is obviously not Tulane. They sound very confident. They sound very confident. Trinidad Chambliss, everything he has said sounds very confident. And I think they have a lot of reasons to feel that way. I think that Ole Miss is maybe the most overlooked team in the entire field still. I think we know the most about them, we know more about them than Texas Tech and Oregon, but I think everyone's kind of just thought they're an afterthought, whether it be from Kiffin or they're just not taking them serious enough. It's like this very ho-hum, they're 12-1, but whatever, how good can they possibly be? And it's like, well, they're fucking 12-1 through the SEC. That's probably pretty good. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I do want to talk about that too, Booza. It'll be interesting to see if they come out on fire, if Georgia has any kind of hangover effect because of how long the layoff is. I do personally think that this is going to be a very, very favorable home crowd for Ole Miss. I think it's a closer trip. They haven't been here as much before. For Georgia, you're making the same trip that you had a year ago. And I think a lot of Georgia fans, too, after going to Atlanta, feel like, well, maybe I save up for the semifinal and the national championship. Not that a trip to New Orleans isn't fun or affordable, but it's like, dude, I think Ole Miss is like, they just don't want this party to end, and they want so desperately to prove that this is not a fluke, and that more than anything, it's not because of Lane Kiffin. I think this game is closer than people think. I think Georgia wins, but I think it's closer than people think. And the closer we get to it, the more I honestly like Ole Miss's chances in this, because again, the home crowd. And here's the thing too, Tyler. Think about, if you're Georgia, they've had issues with Kirby Smart in the past where it's like, how do you get back off the mat and how do you put stuff behind you? And I said this all the time back in I think 2021 when they played Bama in the SEC championship game. If you wanted to win, if you were Bama, you have to take them to an uncomfortable place that they're all too familiar with. And that is being late in the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. Are we going to lose to Alabama? Well, if you're Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, you're looking at this like going into your 3rd straight postseason, where it's like you were number 1 in the country going into a three-peat and you lose at Alabama in the SEC championship game in 2023. Last year, I know all of the reasons why it happened, but then you lost in this fucking building almost a year ago to the day. And so if that starts, the doubt starts creeping in, that's when I get worried about, like, this is still Gunnar Stockton's biggest moment. This is still an offense that has been frustrating at times, and seems like if you can't get the screen game going, like, what are you going to do? I say all that to say I think Georgia wins, but it'd be really interesting. The 4 most important players or intriguing players in this whole matchup are all the ones that were listed as probable in that availability report yesterday with Daquan or Naquan, right? I keep messing that up. Jaquelin. And then the other, and then Keywan Lacey at running back, and they should be fine. But Colby Young coming back in for Georgia, the guy who's their second leading receiver, and he hasn't played since the Ole Miss game the first time. I think he's going to have a breakout game. Second game against Pete, it won't be close. Georgia wins by, I mean, maybe that could happen. I just think, I think that we're all kind of expecting that, and I think that we are all, for whatever reason, overlooking this Ole Miss team as like I think we all thought that Ole Miss was going to get run over in Athens, and that didn't happen. So I wouldn't doubt it. I will also tell you this, Tyler, and this is what I want to transition to, and I'll take a break from talking for once. Is this game will end Thursday night at like 11 p.m. as the portal is opening. Like literally as the transfer portal opens.
Yeah, so weird.
And Ole Miss has a staff full of coaches who are leaving that building and not going back to Oxford. They're traveling 50 minutes east to Baton Rouge. So like there's just so many weird moving parts in this thing that I'm like fascinated with.
Yeah, dude, the calendar's so screwed up, man. It's unbelievable. But yeah, man, I can see this being a close game for the first 3 quarters going into the fourth quarter. What I trust the most in this game out of anything is Georgia's ability to execute in the fourth quarter under Kirby Smart and just close out games.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be confident betting in the spread in this game, but like moneyline Georgia all day long. Like if you were doing moneyline parlays, I'd put Georgia in there for sure. I mean, just because I don't know how it's going to get done, but I just trust Georgia to win the game.
Yeah, fair.
The circumstances were a little bit crazy last year in with everything that happened in New Orleans, but yeah, what is Kirby Smart 4-0 in rematches? I think potentially I like the under in this game. If it's at 50, what do we have? 56.5, 55.5?
I think it's 56. Let me double check. Hold on, I'm clicking on it now.
I could see something like 28, 24.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be super high scoring. I think also the thing for Georgia is it's 55.5 right now. Georgia's a 6.5 point favorite. I think the thing for Georgia too is all the things that I'm saying, like those are all more like doomsday disaster scenarios for Georgia to lose.
Right.
Realistically, what I think is going to happen is that Georgia, with the best coach in college football, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in college football, and an offensive coordinator that has been like shit on for so much, and all he's done is put up impressive performance after impressive performance. They are as healthy as they've been in weeks. The running backs are all healthy. They do have Drew Bobo out still, that sucks because of the laceration he had against Tech. But like, if you're Kirby Smart and you're looking across the sideline against a guy who is coaching his second game against you, or like second game as a head coach and it's against you, you are dragging his ass out into deep waters and seeing how long he can kick his fucking feet and stay afloat. Like that's what you have to do. You have to bully this team and remind him and everyone else that like we're still fucking Georgia and I'm still Kirby Smart. And like I just think it's going to take so much more things to happen for Ole Miss to win this game than it would for Georgia. And I say this again, and I said it on Mike's show earlier today. I don't think it's like it's kind of dark, but it's just the truth. Like Georgia lost this game a year ago in a game where they had a backup quarterback, a fucking terrorist attack happened the day before, and then Kirby Smart's dad was walking to the game, tripped and fell, and died in the hospital during the game. A lot of shit had to happen for Georgia to lose that game a year ago. Call me crazy. I don't think any of those three things happen in this game. And at the very most, maybe one. At the very most, maybe we just go no terrorist attack this year in NOLA. And I think that Kirby is going to be in a much better place. I think the revenge factor is going to matter.
I think if you go no terrorists, then I think two things are not going to happen because I don't think his dad's going to die again.
That is, well, some can only wish for that luck. You know what else isn't going to happen in NOLA?
Somalian fraud.
Can't
Somebody's got to get control of these daycares.
IU, Indiana, the team that invented fraud. That's a joke. Who do you? So what was your pick? Georgia.
I've got Georgia money line. I guess I'm not going to bet on it, but I guess I'd take a Ole Miss to cover. But I guess best bet would be under the 55.5. All right, let's get to the big Rose Bowl event.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an event because number one, Indiana. Juggernaut. goes into the Rose Bowl to face underdog Alabama. Indiana currently a 6.5. Is that what we're seeing here? 6.5 total. Last I saw was 47.5. Chris, you've been a big believer in talking shit about Indiana over the last few years.
About their schedule.
Yeah, Indiana's got a lot going for them right now. I mean, undefeated, beat the reigning champions in the Big Ten championship game. Heisman winner. Obviously, they had the little mishap with their defensive lineman who got tore his ACL, giving somebody a high five after they won the Big Ten championship, which is unfortunate. Kurt Signetti, obviously, everybody knows, worked under Saban at Bama. So, little storyline there. But yeah, Stephen Daly out for this game for Indiana. Is that his name? Leads the nation in tackles for loss.
Mm-hmm.
Very disruptive pass rusher. So that will be a big deal for Indiana. But I don't know. Is it enough for Alabama, lowly Alabama, to overcome the juggernaut that is Indiana?
I mean, we're all where we thought we'd be.
It really is insane that we're talking about Indiana as the number 1 seed, heavily favored against Alabama.
I did a show with Connor O'Gara.
Oh, wow.
This week. We had a little blast from the past.
Nice.
And Texas Pete no longer a sponsor, by the way. Time to swoop in. This is so weird because for so many reasons. And I do think Indiana's the better team. I just love when Alabama's the underdog. I just love when Alabama's the underdog.
It's rare.
But now it's not as much. This is the 3rd straight game they've been an underdog. Biggest underdog they've been since the 2008 SEC championship game, a game they lost 31-20, a game they had a lead 20-17 going in the 4th quarter. They're going back to the Rose Bowl, a place they lost just 2 years ago in heartbreaking fashion, to Michigan. I think Indiana is really good. I think that Signetti is going to do what all good coaches do, which is make you play left-handed. Let me start by saying this too. They deserve all the credit. I thought they were a paper tiger a year ago because they fucking were, and they didn't play anybody. This is not that team. This is the best team in the country, and I firmly believe that. This is not me emotionally hedging. I've said it from multiple times throughout the season. They are really fucking good, and they deserve to be number 1. They deserve to have a Heisman Trophy winner, and Signetti is one of the best coaches in the country. What's craziest about this dude is this is not a situation where Kiffin goes to Ole Miss and brings in all this fucking portal talent, or Cristobal at Miami, all this portal talent. It's well, of course you're winning. You're in a bad league and you got a $4 million quarterback, or if you're Kiffin, you got a $20 million roster, or what the fuck ever. This is, hey, I'm going to go get all of my players from JMU and I'm going to win in year 1 with it. And then I'm going to take those guys and a good quarterback that's kind of an afterthought, but a pretty good recruit in the portal. And then we're going to use that guy to lead to a Heisman Trophy winning season and go 13-0.
Yeah, crazy.
They deserve all the credit in the world. They deserve it's not a cute story anymore. They're just here to kick you in the fucking teeth. What's up, Harry Legee? I think that what they're going to try and do is they are going to make you play left-handed offensively, which I personally think they need to let Alabama try to run the football. It's not take away you should try to take away the pass. I would drop 8 on Ty Simpson.
1,000. I mean, Alabama hasn't run it on anybody.
No, there's no reason to take away something they can't do. I'm trying to take away my 6-pack? Bitch, what are you fucking talking about? I don't have one of those. You trying to take away my 700 credit score? What are we doing? No. So 700 too low. Should I say 800? Probably should have said 800. Eddie, what's your credit score? Say it in the chat. I won't say it to the audience. I promise. Trying to take my 1,000. 800 should have higher.
Yeah.
Well, from rags to riches. Let's cut that part out, Eddie. AI me into saying I have 1,000 credit score, which I think is not realistic, but it's not. Yeah. Just do it either way.
You should.
Anyway, but like that's what I would do defensively. Offensively, I'm going to go back to something I kept saying over and over in the middle of the season, which was they played Georgia, and Georgia stopped running the football, even though they were averaging 7 yards a carry. And that was weird to me. And then they go play Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt has a 72-yard touchdown run to start the game. That kid gets 4 runs the rest of the first half or maybe the game. And it was like, what happened there? They go to Mizzou. Mizzou has the best running back in the country at the time, Ahmad Hardy. He only has 12 carries in the game and only won in the fourth quarter. And it's like, why would you not try to attack this thing that has been a weak point for Bama the whole year? I think Indiana is going to run the football right Alabama and try to make them stop it. And I think it's going to be very tough for Alabama to do that. So in my mind, the way I see it playing out is Indiana is the better team. It'll be back and forth probably, and they will have a lead in this game, and it'll be late in the fourth or midway through the fourth, and you'll see Bama in a situation similar to the SC Championship where it's like, hopefully they're not down by 14 in their own end of the field, but they're down and they have to go for it on some 4th and 10, and they don't get it, and that's when I don't think you're going to see Cignetti pull off or take his foot off the gas at all, and then he's going to make it hurt. So I think the way I see it playing out is they win by 13 or 14 points in like a 34-20 type game. But Tyler, what if all the disrespect that Alabama's getting and everyone that thinks they're too soft and they're not physical enough, just like they thought they were the first time they played Georgia, just like everyone thought when they went to Mizzou, just like they were the second time they played Oklahoma, and just like after the Auburn win, what if they all think they're too soft when this is the healthiest this team has been all year, including the start of the year in a game we're not going to talk about, but the start of the year, this is the healthiest they've been all year. You only have 2 guys out with injury. Neither are starters. That has not been the case since September. What if Ryan Williams breaks out of his fucking slump and just does what he is oh so capable of doing and making defenses fucking pay? Yeah. Oh, I'm getting horned up right now, baby. Tell your girlfriend's family to turn it off. The grown-ups are talking. I think Alabama's going to walk in that door. They're going to slide their hand up the back of Indiana's neck.
Don't do it.
And they're going to take 3 fingers, shove them right down into their Wranglers and say, you know who's boss. No, that's too much. But listen, I do think, what if those 2 very possible and potentially likely things happen? What if Ty Simpson is just the Ty Simpson we saw against Oklahoma? What if, by the way, the defense full of 4 and 5 stars that has been one of the best pass defenses in the country all year continues to be so? What if the defensive line that hasn't been healthy as they've been all year, as they are right fucking now with Tim Keenan and with LT Overton and with Quay Russaw and every other fucking player that they've had to play in their place now being seasoned vets along the year, so you're good across the 2 deep for fucking once. What if they get after Mendoza's ass just like they got after John Mateer? What if Alabama's offensive line, full of future fucking first rounders, even though they've underperformed all year, finally protects Ty Simpson again? And what if Kalen DeBoer does what he always fucking does, which is goes and plays a ranked opponent as an underdog, as an afterthought, and as a fucking the most disrespected elite coach in America, and finds a way to out-scheme, out-coach, and beat someone's ass once again as a ranked opponent? What if, Tyler? What if?
That being said, your pick is Indiana, what, by 10? You said?
My pick's Bama.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair. I could easily see it. I mean, I'm going to take Indiana. I'm going to take them with the points.
You're a bitch.
I'm going to take Indiana 27-17, low scoring affair, under 44.5 or 44, or I'm sorry, 47.5. Cignetti, it's not about talent, Chris. It's about talent evaluation. It's about execution. Hoosiers have been doing it all year. They're not planning to stop now. All right? So everybody just cool out with freaking out about Stephen Daly being out for this game. It's a team game over there in Bloomington, Indiana. These boys are going to strap up. They're going to go into the Rose Bowl. They're going to walk out victorious. Just like Lee Corso said, at one point, way back in the day when he was Indiana's coach, before he died, which I famously said on here when he clearly isn't dead. Indiana can win a championship one day.
Yeah.
Maybe. And what happens just to be Corso's last year and on game day, they win the championship. Got to get through Bama first. I think they get it done.
I don't think that's hold on.
I think anyways, to support my claim here, I think they'll do enough. Mendoza doesn't. I think he'll be turnover free.
Yeah.
Control the clock. And if they can get out to a 10-point lead at any point, obviously I think that's gonna be good for them. What Bama could do to potentially run the ball at any point, because I mean that is really the way to attack Indiana is through the air. I mean, so if they don't make a concerted effort for that, or let's say they do, maybe they overcompensate, maybe you can run the ball finally. Either way, when you're cornered and you have to throw the ball and everyone knows it, well, then I think I like Indiana's chances. So if I want my theory to come right, then we need to be up by like 10 points at some point in the second half for Indiana. Okay. And then I like us to just cruise to victory. Us. I say us.
Yeah, you keep saying us. I don't
we
like
are
that.
all Hoosiers.
Indiana pass defense. Where are they? Surely they're not this low. I got it.
They're like
18th. Dude, oh my God. 7 touchdowns allowed, 17 interceptions on the year. That's pretty fucking good. Okay.
Yeah, don't look at the rush yards per game allowed or the rush yards per attempt allowed. Or the yards per play allowed.
That's not what we're good at. Bama is 10th in the country in pass yards allowed per game, though, and they've done it primarily playing zone. So I wonder if they'll switch that up at all. I do love the fact that our two starting quarterbacks, Devontae Jackson and Xavier Brown, are going back to Cali, their home state. I love an Alabama team as an underdog, man. I think there's still a lot of pride in that locker room, and I think Kalen DeBoer is like, he struggled at times this year. I'm excited to see what he looks like this year. I will also tell you this. Did you see Cignetti's comment in his press conference? Because it was pretty fucking sick.
No, what was it?
Somebody asked him about how it's like, there's so much mystique when it comes to Alabama. I think it was Brett McMurphy that said it. He's like, there's so much mystique when it comes to Alabama. How do you get your team to not see the mystique and like look past it so they can focus on the task at hand? And he's like, I think you probably see that more than they do. All our guys see what's on tape. And I was like, fuck, that's not good. I don't love that.
Cignetti loves to talk some shit. I like it.
Yeah, no. We got like 10 minutes left. I feel like there's some other stuff we could talk about if you want. I mean, like
transfer portal. Portal combat.
Did we talk about this yet?
No. What are you talking about? The Pop-Tart mascot?
So I got a text from a buddy of mine, Jordan Eichenblatt, who's a friend of mine that I used to do comedy with in Atlanta. And he texted me out of the blue. He's like, hey, man, just thanks for all your support for the Pop-Tart Bowl this week. And I was like, Are you involved in the Pop-Tart Bowl? He's like, yeah, I'm the marketing director. And I was like, what? Like, what? He's like, yeah, I do a couple of things. I got like my marketing firm. We did the Pop-Tart Bowl. We did the Cheez-It Bowl. We did the Gasparilla end zones. It was like, I thought he was joking. It was like all the cool parts of bowl season. He's like, yeah, that's me. That's me. Nice. The Pop-Tart Bowl was fun again. Great game. Yeah. I thought that was awesome. Good. I did buy $150 quarter zip, and it's not even going to ship until fucking February. So it'll be like 80 degrees by then in Baton Rouge, which fucking blows.
Is it a Pop-Tart Bowl quarter zip?
Yeah. Had to have it. Just
Jesus.
I started a new business this year, so I had.
How was it
$150? I don't know. I panicked.
Damn.
Yeah.
What is this that?
Can we talk about it?
What is this? No, we're not talking about some volume fraud.
We should talk about it a little bit.
What about the Ohio coach getting fired for pulling a Sharon Moore?
Did you
I
hear
didn't
about
see
that?
this.
Oh, this dude was doing way worse. Well, maybe not way
Yep.
worse. I don't think he threatened a life or anything like that. So the coach from Ohio, like Ohio University, he got fired, and it was like, well, there's some pretty bad stuff. Found out he was drinking in his office, which I'm not trying to sound like a crass dickhead when I say this. I just didn't know that was frowned upon. Like, if I'm a coach and I've had a long practice and I'm just chilling before I go home, like, you're telling me I can't have a glass of scotch? I'm not saying like this is Mad Men. We need to be drinking at fucking, 2 martinis for lunch. But I was shocked that you couldn't drink in your office. So let me also preface this by saying I'm not defending him, but he was also doing some pretty terrible stuff with
sounds like you are.
I think he got a co-ed pregnant. I think.
Oh.
Evan, fill me in on this. He did some, but he gives you so much hope if you see what he looks like. It didn't see it coming from this guy for sure. And then it turned into like some people like Jamel Hill and a couple of people was like, so someone want to explain to me why the national media is all over Sharon Moore in Michigan, but no one wants to talk about fucking Tony Soprano lookalike in Ohio? And you're like, probably because it's the Ohio Bobcats and not Michigan. It could be wrong. Yeah. I don't think it's about race.
Yeah. Yeah, because let me tell you what, if Ryan Day is out here impregnating with his nipple ring, impregnating a co-ed, that's going to be a bigger story than Sharon Moore.
Dude, if he had nipple rings.
All right, fine. Let's talk about Smallians.
More or less.
Let's talk about the Smallians.
Okay.
No. I'm just
kidding. Does he really have a son named Little Joey, or is that all part of the lie?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Did you not watch it? I watched all 42 minutes and yelled at my phone the entire time. Allie hated it. And I mean, hated it. Yeah, I can see that. Let's bring Booze in here.
Is that our guy from Ohio? Dang, dude.
He looks like if Will Muschamp was born in Queens, New York. That's exactly what he looks like.
Will Muschamp if he's like a bourbon enthusiast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure both of them are. So the portal
Will Muschamp if he's a CPA.
Yes. The portal opens on Friday, which is so Auburn's lost everyone.
Nope. So is Florida State.
Have y'all?
Oh yeah, we've lost like 30 players already. Portal's not even open yet. 30 people have been like, "Yeah, we don't want to be here anymore."
That stuff. Auburn's had 29.
I mean,
you guys beat them again.
I'm not totally shocked.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, hopefully you guys will go get a bunch of players that Bama recruited.
I'm getting a massive delay.
What's it? What?
I'm getting a massive delay between our communications.
I don't love that. Eddie, get in here. Here's what I was going to say that I think is interesting. So Cam Coleman's a big name. I think he's the number one player in the portal right now. Sam Levitt. So Shannon Terry from On3 said that those quarterbacks this year, because there's a lot of them in the top 10, which is like unlike years past, like where you had good quarterbacks, but like not where the top 10 of the overall players were dominated by that position. Lagway, Levitt, Sorsby, who am I forgetting? The kid from TCU, Raiola. So they were saying
Byron Brown, North Texas
he's
QB.
Go to Auburn, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's interesting to me is I want to know how many players are going to enter on day one, because last year there were 1,600 on day one. But the other part is it's so weird, the timing of it. And I don't know if we're going to see a flurry of things like this before. We're also seeing dumber shit now, which is like there's an Oklahoma State like offensive lineman who's scheduled 4 official visits, and one of the official visits is to fucking Oklahoma State.
I did see that.
What the fuck are we talking about?
I heard like 3,000 are already like intentions. So that's twice as much as last year.
Are you at a spa? What is that sound in the background?
There's candles, a spa.
Yeah.
Damn, I love that.
I like that Somalian fraud. I mean, I think the number will get higher every year, which is kind of crazy. And they've had more time to do it. I loved what Steve Sarkisian said too, which about like one of the biggest problems with this is that most of the fucking the agents that are involved aren't like legit agents. It's like people that are first time agents, and so they're
Right. Yeah.
they're just like making these demands that are so asinine and over the top.
Yeah, and because the agents that like in the NFL, it's common to make, I think, like 5% at the very most, maybe 3%. These agents in college are making like 20, 30,
20%.
40%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Insane.
dude, I'll tell you this. This is a real story. I don't think it will get me in trouble at all. But like Rasul Faison, the running back from Utah State that went to South Carolina, he was waiting and waiting and waiting for the NCAA to make sure that they granted him his 7th year, because he had a whole thing where he's a JUCO, and by the Pavia rules he should have easily been cleared, but it was like not until like the week of the first game where he was cleared. His agent was like, "You're a guy I'm going to pay attention to all the time. I'm so happy this worked out. I made sure every step of the way, making sure we got this thing through and worked this thing out." Writes this whole long statement like, "We go to fight for our," and it was the guy that's the Florida grad that is so open to talking shit about I want to say Miami or Florida State, or maybe it was Georgia and Kirby Smart. Like, the agent I'm talking about that's like a agent went to Florida. So I like quote tweeted something and I was like, "Man, this is great. This guy was able to get this done." And he was like, "Thanks, brother. Really appreciate the work." And then like I get a text from somebody on staff at South Carolina, and they go, "Just so you know, that guy didn't do shit this entire time. That guy didn't do anything. And he was actively searching for more money the whole time, and he's already getting 20%. And it's like, that might be the most Wild Wild West part of this whole thing.
It's insane. Yeah. I hate it. I hate where it's gone, but we're here. The numbers have never been better, though. People still love to watch the game, but it's just like the off the field stuff is just insane at this point.
Tough.
But all right, man. Well, happy New Year's. Good luck to you in this game. Good luck to all of you in your games, except for me and Booza.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll catch up next week.
All right, boys.
Later.